Many millions of years ago, a planet in a faraway universe that had accepted different other aliens began to have internal conflicts, and was at a point in time where one of the groups ignited a destructive device, and all had to desert the planet. Each had time to construct crafts. Some choose many smaller crafts, while one group, Anakim, choose to construct a planet-type craft called Nibiru. They constructed it outside their own planet as a space station and placed a force field shield around it of gold dust to protect it as it traveled, seeking a home planet to settle. Those were very highly developed beings. They reached this side of the universe and moved into an orbit. Because of mixing with other aliens while on their original home planet, the Maldakians, who were of the groups of draconian species birthed Homosaurus. So they share this new planet craft Nibiru as it crossed the universe. These were two groups that ruled their own species. 1. Anuna, humanoids, and 2. Tannin, reptilianoids. So this new planet craft Nibiru was divided into two large factions. The North and the South, and time the species of the North Tannin made war with the species of the South Anaku. This conflict is long and fierce with much destruction on both sides. For as this planet craft orbited the Sun in this new solar system in an elongated path, it spent a long time far from the Sun of this solar system. While it was near the Sun, the planet craft became very heated. While it was far from this Sun, the planet craft became very cold in deep space. The Mutninu preferred the deep space and Pa-Mu'anak preferred the heat of the Sun. This caused more conflicts because of the changing atmosphere. This caused renewed problems by also a constant stream of volcanic eruptions like explosions. The gold dust cloud formed a thick vapor canopy that retained heat and reflected light, and this pleased Pa-Anaku and displeased Pa-Taninu. The shield deflected away harmful cosmic rays and was good for climate control, even gave rays to lakes, streams and lush vegetation for surface dwellers, yet mad Taninu were dwellers beneath the waters or beneath the surfaces in caverning. This caused much conflict on Nibiru between the two species and their visiting associates. Both groups had their own aliens from other star systems who would come and stay or visit Nibiru, such as the Modbabu lizard men, and Mudganu fish men and Matharu insect men, as well as different species of Mermaidu greys and the Mutninu, who were also mixed. Mudganu would kidnap, abduct some of the greys from Zeta Reticulum. The group of reptilians called Musafu would take them, and they were visitors of the Anaku, not the Tananu. This also caused much conflict between the two groups on and inside of Nibiru. To escape the conflicts, aliens had to wait until Nibiru crossed into this solar system and jump by crafts to other planets and their moons, such as Talamu Mars, and Lahamu Venus, and Kishar Jupiter, and its moon Europa, and Anshar Saturn's moons Titan and Enceladus. Some others made it to Orion's many star systems or Sirius star systems. This caused another war on Nibiru. This war again included great weapons of destruction, one of which caused the shield to deplete, a great fear for the Anaku. Yet not for the Taninu. The destruction spread widespread and for several cycles as Nibiru made its orbit of 3,600 years to pass near this Milky Way and send inside this solar system smaller Nibiru graphs to investigate. So desolation was widespread, affect all who dwelled on the planet craft, as well as those Etherians who oversaw all yet stayed in the heavens about each planet that they visited. Much life was being diminished because of this. The overseers, the provider Murzak-U or Razakwu, informed them all that a truce must take place or the whole planet and its many fleets will be destroyed by the Galactic Order, the confederation of systems over whom and which presides Pa-Murzak-U, from the highest abode. This truce was enforced, it was declared, and a peace treaty negotiated between Mudganu and Anaku. The Taninu refused to cooperate and was banished back to the Draco star system. And it was agreed that this planetary government would be formed with one ruler, not two as before, as the absolute sovereign over all of Nibiru. So each side presented a candidate, and after a drawing of lots the ruler was selected from the north, the first ruler after peace was made. A powerful being of the north, yet must take a female of the ruling family from the south who would have a voice in treatment of the south. She would rule by his side, equal in power as one flesh. The new team quickly built a new city called Agad. Unity is what it meant in their language. They then set out on the task of restoring order. All was well for a time. Because of so many males who died in the many wars, it was made a rule that each Anaku and Doganu take more than one female, yet that the very first wife should be the legal spouse of his own species, preferred a sister by one of his own parents. This again caused problems in succession by the fact that if the consort not of the same species had a first son, does the consort or concubine son take the throne, and if already married and having had a first son by the wife of his own species, the throne would then be ruled by one side. Conflict clearly. By the time of the fifth ruler of Nibiru and Shar, things started to deteriorate. The rulers of Nibiru were, first, An and Anta, second, Anab and Ninib, third, Anshargal and Kish Shargal. Kish Shargal had a son Alam, Mudganu, father of Alalu. Fourth, Anshar and Kishar, and 5th, Inshar and 9 Shar. The fact that Inshar Gal had a son first named Alam by a consort of a different species, and this son had a son named Alalu who had a daughter Damkina. In the reign of Anshar the fourth conflict and the working together stopped. So Inshar V called out to the Murzak-U to call a meeting on Nibiru. They incarnated into human form as the intellectual elite of all the supreme beings of the Emerald Illumination, called down in form for an emergency meeting in Agata. The unity was broken. It became their own problem, not easy to contain. The Rizak-U decided being it was a physical problem they have to solve it peacefully physically and departed. So both sides studied this problem and declared that it had happened before in Nibiru's past and was an inevitable consequence based on the orbit of Nibiru, so this is it. We see where it began this time around. From the fourth ruler's son Anshar Gal and Siramal, birth of a son Alam. So you ended up with Alalu and Anu, both rulers of separate species. Because Anshar gave way to his son Anshar, and Anu did not do the same when it came to Enki by Namula consort. He gave way to Enlil by his sister wife Antu. So Nibiru's atmosphere continued to deteriorate as they moved forward toward the coming sun season, and its atmosphere was depleting fast. Who should rule, Anu or Alalu? What to do? War is what Anu feared again, as well as Alalu. Before them you had Anshar, who gave way to his son by a consort, concubine, and Duuru became the seventh ruler of Nibiru. As things grew even worse, to the point that sex was ordered, stopped, no more births. Duuru's wife Doru found a baby boy at the home gate, and Duuru adopted him as his legal heir and named him Lama. With the atmosphere and life on Nibiru at a critical stage, Lama was giving two choices to deal with the problem. The first solution was to use the weapons of terror, to blast the volcano and awaken their belching to rebuild the atmosphere. The second solution is to obtain large quantities of good gold and suspend it in the atmosphere to rebuild the shield. Only actual facts is there was very little gold on Nibiru. Yet they knew much was sent to a planet in the Milky Ways they called Tiamat. What to do, and Lama was a weak ruler, very indecisive as a leader. This caused more chaotic actions on both sides. And this led to great dissatisfaction in the high courts, to the point that some openly spoke of rebellion. This finally reached a boiling point and rebellion broke out, led by a ruler himself on a lower level. He was Alalu. Alalu ordered his followers to go to the storehouse of all the smaller weapons and retrieve them, prepare for rebellion. So his follower took up arms, yelling out, "We will replace Lama, no longer will he be ruler, we need someone who makes clear decisions, who does not hesitate. Come, let us remove Lama at his dwelling, remove him from the throne." So they went to the gate of Lama's dwelling. Know this, Nuwapians, Alalu himself was a supporter of Lama before this. Now he has Lama trapped on his throne in his throne room. Yet when they broke down the door to the throne room, Lama's supporters separated his family from him, while some rushed him up to the tower of his dwelling. Yet Alalu chased him personally, knowing his dwelling well. Once before him face to face, Lama felt safe before Alalu, a supporter, yet Alalu threw him from the tower, killing Lama. After pushing Lama to his death, Alalu ran back down to the throne room and declared himself ruler. Did not consult the Rizak-U or any others, even without going before the council. All the others were uncertain and unsure what to do or think of this action. He pronounced himself sovereign ruler over all Nibiru. The High Council of the planet Craft summoned Alalu and demanded that he show and prove his divine bloodline and lineage. After much discussion of who is who in which bloodline and consultation of documents. Once Alalu was being questioned, he finally declared that he was of the bloodline, being the son of Alam and Gadamal, and Alam was son of Anshargal and a consort Siramal. These females being of unrecognized bloodline, being not wives yet only concubines of former rulers. This put Alalu bloodline in question, doubted. The High Council asked at this meeting, and there was a need at this meeting to render a decision. A voice was heard at this meeting, and there was a need at this meeting to render a decision. The young prince whose voice was heard was an also called Anu. He stepped forward and declared that as a direct descendant and of pure bloodline, much purer line than Alalu. Alalu questioned, and it was declared that this young prince Anu bare the name of the very first ruler of Nibiru, who was An, and that his sister wife bare the same name as the original An. She was Antu as well, putting him 8 in line from the first and pure-blooded, pure seed. Pure records, and many yelled out, "It is true," so he was called up front to recite his family line down to himself. The young prince did just that. "I am Anu, traced back before disruption of our pure family line. And an Antu, Anab and Ninib, Kish Shargal and Anshargal, Kish Shar and Anshar, 9 Shar and Anshar, Dur and Doru, and Lahama and Lama. Am Anu of the pure blood, not related to Lama, who that one killed with his own hands." Voices were risen in anger, yet calmed down because Anu had a better claim to the throne. The High Council wavered in favor of Anu, and then brought Alalu forward to inform him of the choice and the new claim. They all knew that if Alalu wished at this point, he could restart an all-out war with a single word. The whole hall became completely silent, not a word, as all eyes focused on Alalu. Alalu, knowing that Anu by his bloodline had a great deal of support in the High Council. So Alalu spoke that his voice would be heard. Let my words be known at this place and time. I, Alalu, son of Alam and Gadamal, and very proud of my divine bloodline as a Mudgan of the Mutnan, you have this to say. I offer this compromised, only that I, Alalu, would retain rulership, yet Anu would be made my heir and crown prince. Anu is to agree, and as such is to wed one of my own daughter to seal the covenant. This is the one I offer before you all. Her name is Namal. She is my favorite, wise and trusted. Do you agree? All, seeing no other choice before them, all agreed. That included Anu. From there Alalu then moved swiftly to construct a fleet of 20,000 Kabata-At, to be manned by 1,000 of his Mushnanu, Shananu, Strong's number 8,136. His plan was to go to Tiamat-Temtu in order to retrieve the good gold. Something he had planned a while back, as he would visit Tiamat, and had set up his cities, is what is now South America. This secret plan was leaked and their crafts crushed by the Draconians. None of them returned with the good gold. Alalu then ordered that the weather weapons of Nibiru be destroyed, and that was done. And there was a great deal of expectation that this good gold would solve Nibiru's worsening climate problems. It did not come to pass. All the Nibirians began to blame and turn against Alalu when his family was in danger. The Nibirians ceased to revere their ruler Alalu. Instead of relief, misery did he cause. So this gave Anu his chance. He openly challenged Alalu to hand combat, the winner to be declared the sovereign ruler over all. Alalu agreed, and after a fierce conflict that lasted between the two for 3 days and 3 nights, Anu defeated Alalu and assumed the throne. Now Alalu, remembering what he had done to Lama, and fearing the same fate for himself what Lama suffered at his own hands, Alalu ran to gather up his family and devotes rushed to his private spaceport, and with armed Amadat flying pillars and Magalot flying rolls, some for passengers, others for weapons of smote and fire, armed with nuclear weapons, his destination was set. Return to Tiamat-Temtu, Earth. Across to the west to his city Pumapunku. He is the builder of the great city in South America. Pumapunku was built in one night by a grand holographic, 3D computer printer. The graphics design of each kind of stone is pre-designed, and the complete structure pre-designed to know exactly where each stone inside and outside is to be placed, and an anti-gravity, levitation device in place, so it's all preordained and pre-programmed. Above the selected place then built from the top down as each stone or other structure is shaped without the sound of a hammer nor the sweat of a workman brow. This is also how the pyramids in Egypt and other places on Earth was constructed, by aliens and their human worker slaves around the planet. By grandmother crafts such as the one described in the Christian book of Revelations chapter 21. It's all done in pre-programming then from crafts above, and then assembled by the push of a button. The part the humans play is prepare the foundation or substations. Alalu, who was a Anunnaki, worked with those of Kama Pleiades Pa Mukmayu, later called Keem, for its cluster of 7 suns or stars and symbol. They were the original Nordic race on Earth with Rh- blood type, and they worked with Alalu in South America. So his plan was unknown to others, only to the Kamayu, who let him use their crafts chariots. So he and his hurried and enter a sham rocket missile casting forth chariot and was blasted away for Tiamat. This was his chosen destination from the very beginning. For planet Earth Alalu set his course. Alalu knew that at least he'd be exiled from Nibiru, and at the worst he'd be killed, as he had killed Lama to usurp the Ashash throne. So he fled with his family and some devotees and their crafts with one course in mind, Tiamat-Temtu, Earth. During his time as ruler he had studied the many old records, star maps, and visited planet Key, Earth a few times to set up a safe place and a vacation resort, as did many other aliens this and other planets. So he knew that there was much good gold to be found there. According to the ancient reports, vast stores of good gold sent there by asteroids. Knowing it was only in time that he would be removed from the throne, he prepared. So it was time with little choice for him and family fears. So he set his course for Key, Terra, Tiamat-Temtu, some of the many names used for it by the many aliens. Know that by this trip he would have to overcome many perils along the way. Encountering the fearsome asteroid belt, he ordered his pilots to blast a safe path through it, using his craft's nuclear missiles and lasers. Once a clear path was cut, the fleet of crafts set out for Earth, falling towards the planet and finding it in the throes of the last ice age. He had to decide between attempting a splashdown in the waters or a landing in the temperate zone. He decided on land in the red zone, or Zupu. Being of the reptilian offspring, a Homosaurus. He ordered his pilot, who piloted the craft as best he could, to a rough crash landing in the red zone, Mesopotamia Valley. All was safe with little damage to crafts. Alalu was the first to exit his damaged craft, testing the air for all others in this the red zone, for his cities were originally in Nupu, the green zone far to the west of this place. So testing the air and the water, he ordered all to exist and that it was safe. They set up camp. After 1 year he decided it was time to now venture westward and along the way to explore the planet. Once they reached Ganawa, Africa, he noticed that it was the most beautiful place he had ever seen. Finding there a lush world of sweet fruits and plentiful life. He found that on that part of the planet the sun was very hot and bright. He had to cover his large eyes. And the Kamayu who accompanied him with their pale transparent skin, thin transparent fur and colorless eyes could not continue with him. They returned eastward, then north to what is now Scandinavia, as the Norse to birth the Nordics. He thanked them and they departed for the northeast, safe for their physical. Alalu and family covered their eyes as they kept traveling westward. Once in the south of Africa he found what he had originally came to this planet for: good gold. From North Africa to South Africa, gold and more gold, and that gold was good gold. He was ecstatic at this find. Alalu set up altar Mazbek with a tall tower Magdal antenna in order to Debor commune with Nibiru. He wanted to send a signal upward to Nibiru. All the way to another world. To inform all that he had found the pure rich gold needed to save Nibiru. The gold of salvation, it is I Alalu who have found it. I can change the fate of Nibiru, it is in my hands, to me you all must give heed. Upon hearing this news up on Nibiru, it was given to Anu and he was astounded. He was shocked to know Alalu was still alive, let alone on another planet. And that he found the needed gold. Not so happy was Anu. At this message of the needed gold being found by Alalu and that he is alive on another planet inside the Milky Way. How did he survive the arduous journey? Anu and his sons Enki, who is Nudimmud, and Enlil, who is Nunar, and his daughter Nima, who is Ninkursag, and the many onlookers, other children and his counselors, are all stunned to that they actually must believe that Alalu must be lying and faking this transmission from somewhere on Nibiru's lower realm. Yet Nudimmud and his Dingir confirm the signal has come from beyond Nibiru, which itself is much too large for a planet craft to itself even enter into this solar system. It used smaller Nibiru crafts or Shamot, and from them, Magalat, Kabataat, Rekabaat. How did he make such a journey? Family, devotees and all. Anu, Nudimmud, Nima and Numnir rushed to the celestial room of star maps and transmission and receiving of signals by electromagnetic waves, sending sounds directly through space to a receiving Mazbek altar and Magdal antenna, and he sends a signal back to Alalu, expressing gratitude that he and his family lives and reassuring him of his respected place as one of them. Alalu is determined to press his advantage into another power grab, and he quickly answered Anu with his own demands. If in fact I am to be Nibiru's savior all of your lives, only I save, call all the assembly and convene to declare my divine ancestry, declare me supreme. Let all the commanders accept me as their leader, bow to my command. Inform the council to pronounce me sovereign ruler once again and replace yourself Anu by myself on the throne. The son Nunar or Enlil, who is Anu's heir even though he is the second-born son by his lawful wife's spouse, Antu, steps forward and reminds all there of the great battle that took place on that planet and recited before them all. I once visited the place and I saw that a great part of Tiamat that it was without form and there was only void and darkness. I also saw that the structures once built were trembling and all the buildings moved from their standings. I also saw that in that part of Tiamat there was no humanoids thereabout, nor any fowls, nor beast of the field, no bovine or canine, all seemed to have fled. I saw what was once a fruitful place was then only wilderness, dark dust clouds cover and only seep waters all about, no place for landing. So Nunar let his voice be heard, the whole land was only desolate, I have seen it. Then the first son of Anu by Nimel, sister of Alalu, steps forward to be heard. If my younger brother's words are all true, then why is Alalu and family and devotees safe and secure on the planet in order to broadcast this signal and message so clearly? From there I did not hear signs of distress in his voice, only confidence, strength, and certainty. By this words a great argument ensued. Voices was raised, fingers being pointed, chaos from both sides, with Numimyad, the Dinger, and with Nunar, the Agigi, and only the sister Nima could quiet the chaos. She says, before all, as you can see and now hear, Alalu demands create a great deal of consternation amongst you all. We cannot depose our father and or Anu without knowing if what Alalu is saying is the truth, or even which of the inner planets the transmission are coming from. Let us track that signal to be sure of its origin. One of the older Galzu informs the council that he has sat with Alalu and that Alalu is well versed in the old knowledge of the formation of the solar system, and that if he claims to have found element 079, gold, you can accept that Alalu surely did find it, and where he claims to be in somewhere on Tiamat, Temtu. Again Nunar or Nimlil once again reminds all of them and the assemble that this Alalu is not to be trusted. All his reign on Nibiru brought us calamity, war, killings, chaos. And the fact that he lost the throne to my father Anu in a righteous combat is our law. And I am to be the next ruler of all of Nibiru. As his rightful heir, looking straight at Nudimmud or Enki, who was not yet known as Enki, only Ea, he whose abode is the water, being part Mudganyu on his mother Numel or New side. Calamities were his handiwork. He forfeited the throne. He points out that Alalu is in no position to set conditions and that many questions remain to be answered. Amongst them he pointed out are the issues. 1. If there is even enough gold on that planet to rebuild Nibiru's atmosphere. 2. How will the gold be transported from there to here with all the distractions and dangers? And 3. Who will lead this exploration and labors? Meanwhile, while Alalu is informed of these deliberations and agrees to send proof of his claims along with an account of how he made it to the planet. Once this final information is received, Alalu demands to be made sovereign ruler once more. All those on Nunar's side, the Igigi, are all appalled that Alalu used weapons of terror to blast his way through the asteroid belt. As was the star maps showed from their sun Shamash, Apsu, Mercury Mumu, Venus Lahamu, Chi Tiamat, and Mars Lamu. There is the asteroid belt, and beyond it is to be found Jupiter Kishar, Saturn Anshar, Uranus Anu, Neptune Ea, and the wild one Pluto Gaga, for the destruction that it could have caused. And Nudimmud yelled out, yet it did not. That is the fact of this matter. It did not. They only speculate that this could have had grave ramifications for that solar system, which could have an effect on us. Yet the fact remains that it did not. Truth is truth. Again, Nudimmud says given that Anu has been made sovereign ruler by both bloodline and his victory in single combat over Alalu, they cannot countenance removing him from the throne. Once again, Nudimmud, who is well known impressive for his right knowledge, right wisdom and right understanding, who is well respected by the elders and advisors, then makes a proposal to the council. As Anu's firstborn son of Namul, the very sister of Alalu, this makes me uniquely qualified to mediate this issue. My beloved father by birth and seed as ruler, Alalu by marriage my father also, to bring the two groups into unison was my espousal's intention. Let me be the one in this conflict to bring about a resolve. Let me be Anu's emissary. Go to Alalu. I will by my own self go to Tiamat to investigate all you seek to overstand. I will only ask to enter as etheric and incarnate into flesh once there, to avoid the asteroid belt and its many dangers, to be able to shapeshift, transform. All looked at one another and all agreed. Yet Anu the Most High said, you will first have to reconstruct the damages of that planet, of the planet upon which you plan to land. Nudimmud agreed, only with the help of my helpers. All agreed that at the head of the next cycle that his helpers would make a way for him on Earth's planet, and it was granted. A special craft was designed for him, a whirlwind Marwak, and he is to be transformed into a Merwak, one of wind, soul, to move through the asteroid belt without interference of anything. So before them all, Nudimmud had offered to lead an expedition to Tiamat to confirm Alalu's discoveries and to return to Nibiru with some of the good gold. And Alalu would then be declared sovereign ruler and he be in line as his heir. Nudimmud's rival objected, yet Anu agreed to part of his son Nudimmud's idea and declared him before all to be called Enki, master of Chi or Tiamat, and the proposal was transmitted. Alalu, who agrees to it. Enki is to depart first on his own. A large celestial craft is also constructed to carry 49 others to follow if all is well on Chi. These are to be the Anunnaki. A scan of the planet shows that it was still on that part without form, and it was void and dark, caused by a dust cloud that blocked the sun's rays, and they could only see deep waters. Yet the best for that is Enki, who was named also Ea, abode of the waters, so he could breath underwater, have gills, as well as on dry land. He was a homosaurus, a giant of a man in stature. When the time was just right, he departed from above down to hover above the deep waters. So Anu sent forth the Merwak in Pa Marwak, the soul in the whirlwind craft which they had created, that Enki, Ea, is to renew the surface of this part of the planet. If it's all true, the craft or glory of En will endure forever. Enki will rejoice in his works. He looked down upon the planet and it trembled. He touched down. He immediately transmitted a call to commune with the hovering craft just outside of this solar system, piloted by one Anzu, whose name meant he who knows the skies above. I am landed. I cannot see. Beam down a ray of laser light, illuminating ray, to remove the dark dust cloud, that I may be about my work. It will take me 42,000 years of this time zone to complete preparations. Once settled, he was met by Alalu, who informed him of the lush lands in Nupu, the green zone. For he had also landed in Zupu, the red zone. He was well welcomed and very pleased with all that he had seen. Enki was a ladies' man, and Alalu knew of his repartition and offered him that most beautiful of his many children, the daughter who became Dimkina. Alalu explained that he needed Enki to speak on his behalf to his father Anu so that he could return to Nibiru. Enki agreed to do his very best, yet made it clear that his half-brother, now called Enlil, who mained the skies above, will not agree. Yet he would do his very best. He saw that Alalu ruled many humanoids and that he crossed some, for they had come from Zupu, the red zone, only crossing from far east eastward to the middle and north of this land now called America, and mixed with the originals, people of the part of the planet the Anasazi, who once mixed became his subjects, Toltec, Olmecs and Aztecs, to the ones governed by the Kama-Yu, who was able to live there, also crossbreed to be deities of the Mayans. Enki saw great cities and many subjects who saw Alalu as their deity from the stars. And Enki remembered those little persons he had seen when he visited South Africa, the what is called Sand People, Bushmen. So in time Alalu showed him the much gold that was found in that very place he called Absu, South Africa. Enki said, "We can use these to mine for the gold," and Alalu informed Enki that will not work. Why? He asked. They have their own overseers, Pam and Jar-U or Nadar-U, who protect them. Yet Enki had his own mind and his own plans. He called above to confirm the gold and for the others to come down. Only to surprise, Anu came down with them, making it 50, and Enki traveled eastward to meet and greet him, and spoke on behalf of Alalu, which Enlil would not agree to. Again there was talk of war in the sky above. Enlil prepared his weapons, and attacked Puma Punku and destroyed it. The Kamayu again helped Alalu and his family from planet Tiamat Chi to the next planet Lamu, Mars, where Alalu lived out his life and there died. And the Anunnaki, later called Elohim, Al-Haadi, Thea, took over the red zone of Earth. Anu became Elyon El, Enki became Yahweh, Enlil became Baal, and they had many sons and daughters born on this planet they called Eridu. It became Eret, Ards, Earth. Truth is truth.